Alright guys, I'm starting a hollow handle survival knife for a gentleman in Europe. He's ordered one of these hollow handle survival knives from me, and it's an honor for me to do that. I'm very honored that he wants me to make him one, and this one is going to be in the style of Randall. That model, this is the model 23 Storm. Just a shorter version, or I wouldn't say shorter because I know the Randall knives, he had a model 18. They did that in a 5.5 inch blade, and it goes all the way up to a 7.5 inch blade. So I just made mine called the model 23. This is a 6.5 inch blade template, but this gentleman from Europe, he wants a 7.5 inch blade, so this is going to be a 7.5 inch blade. You know, on the Randall models, they go up, their upper clip point goes up a little, it goes further back. I bring mine back to this point, so that gives you your solid spine. If you want to add serrations there later or do anything right there, you got that to work with. I'm really impressed with this steel. I got this from Alpha Knife Supply, and this came annealed. Now, I bought steel before in the past from Admiral Steel, and it wasn't annealed very good. I've gotten 1095 and 5160, but this one is annealed, which means it's softer. It's in the soft state, and that's what you want when you're working these blades and profiling the blades and everything. And I'll end up doing a heat treatment on this and hardening this during a heat treat and temper. But so yeah, I'm going to get to work on this, and so here we go. I just thought I'd do a little video here that I'm getting started on this. Okay, before I get started on this, one important thing that I need to do, I'm going to take this out. I've got to put some red Sharpie on the flat part of this, and I'm going to score my center line there. Where I need to come down right here, you keep an eye on your plunge line. So I'm going to go ahead and red Sharpie this and get that scored. Alright guys, so I did my score line, and I put red Sharpie and then scored it with a 1/4 inch drill bit. And this piece is actually .210, and a drill bit, your 1/4 inches is .250. So what you do is you score this on one side, laid flat, then you flip it over and score it on the other side. Then we'll be squared away for center, even though that we're just not quite. I got a piece that was just right under 1/4 inch, because generally when I work them down, I have to work them down anyway to about this width. So yeah, so now we're ready. I got my reference here so I can keep an eye on the plunge line, keep an eye on everything centered to come down. Alright guys, so it's coming along nice. I'm removing the metal, and it's just like artisan work with anything. The more you do it, you just start getting, you know, the better you get at it. But I like to keep the Sharpie lines drawn on there as I go, and that just kind of gives me my reference point. And so I'm going to continue to do this with the 4-inch grinder, and then I go to my table grinder for a few times to do some passes on it, and I'll count the amount of passes. Anytime I go down, I just do counts. So we do that even amount of times on each side, and we keep an eye on our score line and our plunge line. So today's a really nice day out here. We're gonna go out here in a minute. I'm gonna show you my high-speed belt sander grinder that my brother built for me, and it's pretty cool because you can flip it around and do different stuff with it. So we'll check that out. So what I do is I just come back over to this for when I'm removing when I'm doing the bevels, the primary bevels. I usually go to this a couple of times, and I'll do so many passes, particularly to hog off a lot towards the bottom end of the bevel, and then I go back to do most of that for just to develop the hollow grind. So yeah, when I'm removing metal off of this, I use a little spray bottle, and it's real important that you keep your steel cool as you go. You don't want your metal, you don't want this piece getting too hot. So we keep everything cooled down with the spray bottle as we're just removing, you know, hogging off this steel. And when I'm get back over here with this 4-inch. This I believe these are 4.5-inch hand grinders, but when I'm doing it with this, it's just kind of what I call artisan work. It is hogging off the metal, but it's just a system that I do to get everything, you know, looking nice. And we're going to end up developing a hollow grind. I'll work on the clip point on the top section here pretty soon as well. So this is my metal worker. You know, this cuts metal. It's pretty cool. This basically, I fold it down when I put it up. It's got different variable speeds to it. But if you ever buy these band saws for this, I get the 64.5-inch, you know, the band saw, but there's a couple of different ones. This one is this is called a hardback. Now this hardback, it doesn't last very long. What you really want is the bimetal. The next one I'm going to get, I'll buy a couple of bimetals. They run about $55 for 2 of these, you know, two of these. This is, like I said, this is called a hardback. This will generally cut, I don't know, probably cut out like 7 or 8, maybe 10 knives. But I've kind of tried it out going back and forth between the bimetal and this hardback. So I'm going to go back to the bimetal. It's really the best because it lasts forever. And I was talking to my brother. That's what they used up there at the his business at Sunbelt Industries. They used the bimetal. And he actually gave me a great deal on this. They bought a new one up there at their business, and I got this one. This is their old one. But it works outstanding. It just works great. And so yeah, this is what I cut out all my knife blanks with, you know, just any type of metal cutting you want. You're good to go with this thing. So with this high speed belt sander grinder, my brother actually built this for me, and he's just a heck of an engineer, just outstanding with, you know, building and making things with metal. But this he totally made this from scratch. Found the motor, you know, ordered the wheels. This has a spring under it, so you can put just about, you know, put your belt on there, and it always maintains the pressure on there with this heavy spring. And it's pretty cool. And like I said, I can flip it around. I can use it on the front end on the table, and then I can flip it around this way, and I use this for putting on my nice factory style. Just like if you bought a knife brand new from K-Bar or a reputable company, you get that nice brand new secondary cutting edge. That's what I do here on this end. And I do that at a 15 to 20 degree angle. 120 to 180 grit is about where you want to be. 120 produces either one, 120, 150, 180. It's going to produce that nice, you know, secondary cutting edge with those little grind lines in there. And so yeah, so that's where this thing just comes in handy. I just do several different things on this. You can shine, you can buff out your knife, you can hog off steel, whatever you need. Okay guys, just thought I'd show you my forge here and talk about it a little bit. I think I got a video on my YouTube here where I'm doing a little bit of heat treatment. I'm doing a heat treatment using this, but I have a little blow dryer, and I run the cold air in there on high. It pumps in there, and you can really get a nice little hot pot going, and we can put our steel in there, let it soak, do a nice heat treatment. And I usually use a 50-50 mix. Like I'll use the wood charcoal mixed with the forging coal, which works out for me. You know, I don't know how other guys do it, but that's just the way I do it. It maintains a nice temperature, and it does great for me. But you can see all this. This is commercial bronze. See all this material right here? That's commercial bronze. That's what I make those hand guards out of. When that's all shined and cleaned up, that stuff is beautiful. I got this from a guy who got these out of These came out of an old motel, a hotel with the elevators. So these were inside the elevators. And this material is just beautiful when it's shined up. I know you guys, some of you guys have seen some of my guards. So that's what I make all my hand guards with. All of them are made totally by hand. So I've got a nice little stout anvil here if I need to do any type of work with it. I've done a few knives with hammer forging, but to me the stock removal is just much more cooler. I know a lot of guys love to do the hammer forging and make knives, and I think that's cool as well. I just got really good at doing the stock removal with my grinder, and it's kind of like a little art form, so I call it artisan work. You know, and when I'm profiling these, I just try to, you know, attention to detail, keep an eye on my plunge lines, end up with a really nice hollow grind with all the beveling. It's really nice, everything's centered. Just get a nice heat treat, temper, you'll have you a nice knife. So this one I'm making, this is a hollow handle out of 80 CRV2. I'm doing this for a gentleman in Europe. He requested a 7.5 inch blade. So yeah, and so I've got to order some hollow handles. I need the handle and the cap ends with the lanyard cap ends. So they're out of the cap ends right now, but they're supposed to get those back in stock. They sent me an email today. It said 1 to 2 months I'll have them, but I'm going to have this blade ready. It's all going to be done, and the guard's going to be done. So I'll just be waiting on the parts, and we'll get his knife finished up. And he wants his handle wrapped with green, the OD green color, or that, you know, the outdoor winter green. So I'm going to get back with it here and start doing some more beveling. So this is my modest little workstation here. I've got a drill press and another belt sander grinder. This comes in handy for polishing up the primary grinds, and I can put a really fine grit on there at a slower speed and just kind of, you know, work polishing the blade and profiling the tips and stuff like that once we get to those finishing, you know, those finishing end of the knife. Right guys, we are here with a made in Germany Mark III that had a deficient plunge line. The primary grinds were leaning on one side, and so I took it to my shop, redid the primary grinds on both sides, got a nice hollow grind on it, and so we're going to do a little cutting test now with the paper. And so I'm just going to have this, my brother's been sandblasting these knives for me, and my knives when I make knives, he sandblasts them, does an outstanding job, and then I get them back and then I do silica ceramic black, leave it on that blade for 2 or 3 days out in the sun. It'll stick to that sandblasting, and it makes it damn nice, you know, looks similar to black oxide. So anyway, I just sharpened this up. Let's just do a little test here. Straight razor sharp, guys. Don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing. Whoa. Got a piece of paper shoot out of there like a... There we go. Run her all the way down. Run them all the way down. Every now and then you got to. Oh, I'm not going to be able to. There we go. Alright guys. On this tip, I actually profiled this down a little bit. I brought the tip back so I could have a little bit stronger. Left a little meat on there. So I've got more of a robust tip with this clip point, the way this is designed. So there we go. It's squared away. I'll get it sandblasted at the bros. We'll catch you guys in the next one.